Welcome back to episode number 12 of Fantasy Beech Boys Ad Drop Trade segment. We got a very special guest today, JP Rains from Laurentian University. JP, how's it going today?
Hey, it's great, boys. Happy to be here.
Yeah, excited to get things going. It was a no-brainer bringing you on. Obviously, you're a big hockey fan. What's with the choice today? Panthers jersey?
Yeah, the Florida Panthers are for real, guys. So late start to the season, and I'm thinking they're going to do some damage this year.
All right. I love to see that. So let's just get right into things. Let's go into our ad. Savage, you want to kick things off?
Okay. Yeah, sure. I'll start things off. So for my ad, he freshly traded from Winnipeg to Columbus, and it's Alexandre Texier. So he's slotted as a center left wing, so he's a versatile. You can put him at either position. And he's only 14% roster, which is pretty low. And with that being said, he's on the first line with Columbus with Domi and Laine, and he's also on that first power play, along with Domi, Atkinson, Laine, and Werenski. So he's going to get minutes, and I think since Dubois is gone, it's kind of his chance to kind of make a mark on that team and take on a bigger role. And with only a 14% roster, that's pretty low. I think it's a good flyer to take on, especially if he's on that first line playing with Laine, who's such an elite scorer, and Texier can feed him the puck, even on the power play as well. I just think it's a safe ad, and that's my pick, Alexandre Texier from the Columbus Blue Jackets.
Yeah, I mean, he's been playing some minutes with Laine. I liked him. He was playing good with even before Laine came. So Laine should help him, and obviously Torts is the only drawback. Is Torts is a guy who changes lines like on the fly pretty much, so you never know what the line combination are going to be, but I think that's a safe bet. He's a strong player and he's been really good. For my ad, I got Evgenii Dadanov from the Ottawa Senators. He's 30% rostered, so a little higher, but a lot of people have been dropping him. I still think that he is a good ad. He's playing really bad right now, but he's already jumped up. They're going to try and get him going. They have him on the first line with Brady to Chuck, and he's on PP1. So I mean, they're paying this guy too much money for him to continue playing like this. The guy can put the puck in the net. He showed that with Florida. So I think if he's dropped in your league, you should really consider picking him up. He's got left wing and right wing eligibility, so a little versatile there. So I like Evgenii Dadanov.
I like it.
And who you got, JP?
I'm going to Florida as well, and going with Mr. Driedger, the backup goalie. Right now, he's playing like a starter, putting up numbers. His save percentage is in the 930 area this year. He's got 3 wins. He's he's in a good position. Florida's for real, and Bobrovsky, needs a rest now and then. And this week he's got a game against Detroit, and then that he's probably going to win. And then a game against Tampa that he's got a good chance at. So I think if you're looking for a goalie who gets some spot action and is a likely win, Driedger's your man.
Yeah, I like that pick a lot with Driedger, especially Florida is so hot right now. I think they're like 6-0-1 at the moment, staying second place in that division. And I think it's a safe bet, especially since they're going to play, since, like you said, I think beginning of the season they had a couple of games postponed. So they're going to play a lot of hockey down the stretch, which means more ice time for Driedger and the other guy there. So I think I like that pick a lot, the ad there, Driedger. He's definitely gonna get more starts now down the road, and that Florida team's, I mean, they're hot, so ride the hot hand a lot. So
yeah, I like that pick. Props to JP being the first guest to bring up a goalie. I know he's got a couple other goalies on this segment. So yeah, let's go into drop here. I got Brandon Tanev of Pittsburgh. He's rostered at 35%. Obviously, this guy is usually picked up just to get hits, and he has 55 hits. He just doesn't see enough ice time on that Pittsburgh. He ranges around 15 minutes, 13 minutes, and he hasn't been adding to any other categories that he should be. Like, he hasn't been big on the hits category. I mean, not the hits, the shots and blocks. So if he's not adding to any other categories and he's strictly just a hits guy, I just don't see how he's fantasy relevant, especially with the COVID postponements. I mean, if you lose him for a week and you're banking on him for hits, it's like you're better off just taking guys who are 5 category guys so that you don't fall into a circumstance where you're actually just done for that category. So I got Brandon Tanev of Pittsburgh.
Yeah, I like that. I mean, he definitely doesn't lead the leading the points category, and even the hits, I don't think he throws the body around that often. Like Brady Tkachuk we had last week, Chris Ackroyd mentioned for a trade segment. And with Brady, he throws up a ton of shots on goal and blocks and everything, but I don't think Tanev's that type of player, so I think it's a safe bet for a drop. So carrying to mind, I have Kyle Palmieri of the New Jersey Devils for a drop. So he's a right wing, 53% rostered. He's on that second line with Pavel Zacha and Maltsev, and no power play unit. So he's only playing on the second line on a kind of a poor New Jersey team. And as of right now, the moment he's out with COVID, so who really knows when he's back or even when New Jersey's going to be playing hockey again. I mean, I think they've had a couple of games postponed recently. And also, just in his last 8 games, he's only put up 3 assists. So, I mean, that's not really cutting it. And in that division, they got some high competition, some tough teams they got to play against, and they're kind of like the bottom feeders. And I just don't think that the Devils themselves and Palmieri specifically can kind of get out of that slump. So that's my drop, Kyle Palmieri.
Yeah, Palmieri. I mean, the Devils in general are just such a bad team. So I was surprised. He's rostered really high, and obviously he had a really good year last year and the year before. But I agree. He should be dropped. JP, who you got?
Well, guys, I'm going to Vancouver, and I don't think anybody should be owning a Vancouver goalie right now. The team is just not having enough wins. And, I know Holtby's got a pretty high roster number, but he's starting to get dropped. And even, some people have picked up Patrick Demko, but, he's a good goalie. He's just not going to be able to turn around the whole team. So I got to drop any Vancouver goalie right now.
Yeah, I agree with you. They're probably one of the surprises of the year is just how Vancouver's been playing. They were so good last year and such a young, promising team. And they add Holtby to that goaltender. And obviously they have Demko, who's young. And they just the whole team just hasn't been performing what they showed last year.
Yeah, I mean, I think as of right now, they're on like a 5 or 6 game losing streak. I mean, and they've also played like one of the most games in the league so far. So that doesn't help their cause as well. And yeah, just Holtby and Demko just haven't looked. I mean, they're not getting much help out front from their defense at all. But again, like you gotta make a save here and there, and they're just not doing it. So I like that drop for sure.
All right, let's get into trade for guys who you think that people should go after based off low value, or you just think that they're going to turn it on. I have Mike Hoffman of the St. Louis Blues. He's 77% rostered. This guy was getting dropped earlier in the year. People were getting frustrated with them.
You're one of them as well.
I was one of them.
Yeah,
JP was one of them. But he's turning it on as of lately. He's been getting more minutes. He had the most minutes he's had all year last game. He's skating with line 1 in practice. And obviously he has these postponement games, which means that he will have a stacked schedule at some point. If he's skating with line 1, this guy's value just goes like crazy up through the roof skating with O'Reilly. But no, this guy's a shot machine. I mean, 9 shots last game. I mean, you give him minutes, he's going to shoot. And obviously he's an elite goal scorer. So yeah, I think you could get him at a buy low right now just because of the postponement of games. Like he's not playing any games right now. So I would try and get in there and offer a trade for him to get him.
Yeah, no, I like that. I mean, St. Louis, I think I'm not too sure how they're doing. I think they're kind of middle of the pack right now, but I mean, they got some firepower on that team, and especially if Hoffman's starting to turn around, that's not a bad player to trade for. And I think you can kind of get him maybe at even a low price considering how much he was struggling earlier. So I don't mind that pick at all, Mike Hoffman. But I'll dive into mine. So this one took a little while to find here, and I'm going with Bryan Rust of the Pittsburgh Penguins. So again, he's a left wing, right wing slotted at. So again, versatile for your team. And he's 59% roster, which is fairly high. But they have him as the first line with Crosby and Gensel. And I know they kind of throw those lines in the blender, so that could change. But he's also slotting that first power play along with Crosby, Gensel, Letang, and Malkin. So all the big names that are in Pittsburgh. In his last 9 games, he's also had 2 goals and 5 assists. So he's been proven that he can put the puck in the net and also dish out the apples to his teammates. And he's just a good depth piece, in my opinion. Like I think you can kind of get him at a low price for sure, considering he's not one of those big names in Pittsburgh. And I think he can really help out your team down the road, especially if he's continuing to play on that first line, first power play unit in Pittsburgh. So Bryan Rust is my trade piece for today.
Yeah, I like that. I mean, Evgeny Malkin, I think, as we can all agree that he's been just terrible out there, and he's been vocal about that. So obviously someone has to step up into a bigger role, and Russ has been doing a good job. And I mean, when you're playing with Crosby, I mean, you're always going to be valuable. So I like that pick. Yep. JP, who do you got?
Yeah, so guys, I'm going back to Florida. The number one cop on the force. Shout out to Jay and Dan, now just Jay, Bobrovsky. And, Bobrovsky, I mean, he didn't play that many games to start out with, so he's going to have a backloaded schedule. You got to feel good about that. And, he's still getting paid a lot of money to stop some pucks. He started out the year pretty well. I think guys may not be really high on him yet just because he hasn't produced the volume just yet. So they may be, when you're doing a quick compare in a goalie trade, you may not look at number of games played and points per game for goalies because it really comes down to that. And I think for Bobrovsky, he's going to have a good rest of the year. And like I said, Florida's for real.
Yeah, I like that a lot, especially if you have that goalie tandem and Driedger and Bobrovsky. I mean, again, Florida's hot right now, so ride the hot hand while it lasts. And I like that pick a lot, and he's definitely got something to prove since last year. He had arguably, kind of terrible as being nice, but a really bad year last year. So I think this is kind of like the year to him to kind of prove those doubters wrong and kind of live up to that contract a little bit more, considering he's on such a big contract. So I like that. I like that trade piece a lot, Bobrovsky.
Yeah, his contract was like crazy. Obviously, he signed for a lot of money because he was so good with the Blue Jackets. So I think at some point he's going to live up to that contract, and I don't see why not. It can be this year. I mean, he's such a good talent. It was just kind of like a fluke short season. So I like that pick. I like Bobrovsky. Lastly, JP, what would be your fantasy advice to fantasy owners out there?
Kind of throw you on the spot here.
Well, the number one thing is to listen to the Fantasy Beach Boys podcast. Yeah. That's like the number one piece of advice. But and I do have to give a shout out to Jared because I don't know if it was last week or the week before, but you mentioned Pierre-Olivier Joseph, who's at 1% ownership. D-Man in Pittsburgh scored his first NHL goal the other night. So, props to you for mentioning that. But I think right now, in terms of fantasy advice for the rest of the year, number one stat in the NHL is going to be games played. And so as you look at now, I think we had 7 teams that have had games postponed due to COVID. You're going to have that 2 week of buffer near the end of the league where we're at the end of the season, where the league has reserved some time for additional regular season games. So you're going to have a situation where, some teams may be playing a lot more games, and it may just come down to numbers, right? Even though your team may not be star-studded, you might be able to just grind it out with guys that are getting games and putting up points and peripherals. So I'd have to say, you gotta be watching the news pretty closely and figuring out who's going to be delayed due to COVID and who's going to be postponed, because that is going to determine value in this year more than any other year.
Yeah, I completely agree with that. That's good advice. We had Chris mention the importance of diversifying your lineup so you have it across the board just in case of any COVID postponements. But yeah, completely agree with you. It was a pleasure having you on, JP. Solid picks, goalies, which
all across the board.
I think the viewers will love that. I always want goalie information. It's tough to find. There's not many goalies, but I liked all your picks. I think the viewers should take them. And yeah, so that's Fantasy Beach Boys episode number 12. Make sure you subscribe to our YouTube channel and follow us on Twitter.